Hi there, welcome to the latest news and discussion on the Noah Presgrove case. As of tonight, welcome to those that are here in this live premiere. We're taking a look at another new named individual that's popped up out of nowhere, but supposedly a key person within the case who was at the party house on the day post-death of Noah Presgrove, and that's a woman called Becky something, also known as BM. If anyone wants to fill out the last name, feel free to do so down below. But this is tying in line with Becky, some other people, including Stevie Howard, claiming to be all at the party house on the Monday morning, around 8 AM or so. The problem is, the stories don't add up. And if these are supposedly fully grown adults who are close together in some way or just proximity on the day at the party house, there are major contradictions. And I'm going to show that to you today. We actually got like a side-by-side of what was previously said and what's recently been said by the likes of Becky. So, as I said, welcome to those that are watching right now. You can react to it all. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat box on the right hand side of the screen. And if you want to elaborate, and for anyone watching at any point, all your thoughts, your questions, your theories, ideas, let me know them all down below under this video in the comment section, and I will respond back to them when there is time. And maybe other people can engage in the comments as well. Who knows where it could lead to, but it definitely does help spread awareness on the case. Down below, you'll also find a pinned comment by me. And that'll be, if you want to support this channel, there are different ways to do so. Also, if you simply want to catch up on recent coverage by me on the case of Noah Presgrove, top right corner of the screen where that eye symbol is, if you click on it, you'll be able to find some additional links to a previous video I did, such as the earlier one today. Very interesting, looking at interesting, maybe strange behaviour by one of the party goers known as Jasmine Millan, and analysing deleted social media footage post. Be sure to catch up on that video. It's a Warlike Wrath original, analysing quite deep on one photo. Says a lot. There's quite a lot to it, so make sure not to miss out. And if you want to catch up on other videos, there will be a playlist available near the eye symbol. Click on it, and there's about 21 videos roughly now. So, been quite full on. It's been a lot to talk about. And in regards to this video today, we're looking at more, I believe, text messages or comments, responses to post via Facebook. I also want to give like a little heads up update. Whilst I'm using Reddit today because it's easier and I can look at the comments and direct reactions as well without being too cluttered, I was able to gain access to the Noah Presgrove's Army Facebook page, which has been private in recent time. So I was able to successfully join. Shout out to that individual out there known as Roy. All under control now. And when it comes to future updates, it should be perfectly okay. As a further heads up, I did reach out to such as one of the admins and just simply said, even though it's a private group, is it okay to relay information and, do what I have been doing ever since? And they said, yeah, no issue. All under control. More videos can come along the way if there are things to talk about without any restrictions or any trouble. So it's perfectly fine. Just wanted to be clear with you so you know what's currently up. Now, with that being said, without further ado, let's get straight into the recent post by an individual called Becky. Here we are. So this was posted 2 days ago. Catching up on it by Cheap. Shout out to them for reposting. Title: BM Becky claims that SH, also known as Stevie Howard, was there the morning of Noah's death at the party house. But Stevie Howard claims she was out of town. Who's telling the truth, right? Major contradictions. It will make more sense when we look at the photos below. The first screenshot is from Becky and what she had to say. Second screenshot is from Stevie Howard. That helps clear it up. Click here. Do we need to zoom in? Why not? that should be clear enough, I think. So, Becky, whoever she's responding to, Becky says, I understand going private, but I don't understand trashing people, and these are people who were never at the house. Most of that happens because members come up with crazy stuff and they've never spoken to AC, also known as Avery Combs, CC, known as Carter Combs, JN, known as Jack Newton, or JM, also known as Jasmine Milan, who we looked at earlier today. Right, what's the context behind this first of all? Well, when Becky says, I understand going private, but I don't understand trashing people and those who were never at the house. So Becky is likely, at the time at least, within, as a member possibly, of the Noah Presgrove's Army Facebook page. So in recent time, upon that page becoming private for key reasons, to preserve, to protect, to cleanse the dodgy people who are out there infiltrating the page, Becky is kind of, in an understanding mood, but saying how the trashing part isn't exactly right. But, their opinion at the end of the day. Let's just see what else she's got to say, though, more importantly. Stevie Howard, myself, Becky, Sarah, and Carson were all at the house after Noah Presgrove was found deceased on the highway. Most of the group members have made comments about how do they get information that the family doesn't. We don't get that information. We were there when ZW, also known as Zach Wright, part of the LE, law enforcement, talked to the kids. We were there when they told the stories out of grief and shock. Okay. I mean, it's explained fairly clear, okay? No insults, no threatening behaviour, simply explaining it based off what supposedly happened. So who is Stevie? Stevie Howard. Myself, they're talking about themselves called Becky, the one that posted this comment. Sarah, also known as Sarah Long. And Carson. I don't know who Carson is, if I'll be honest with you. That's interesting. So these, I guess, are fully grown-ups, adults, parents possibly, or those connected to other family members in some way. There must be for them to be at the party house to begin with. I mean, you'd understand Stevie Howard because she's the homeowner of the house, hence why she would be down there. Though, as we know, she wasn't supposedly, and we'll get to that shortly. As for Becky, don't know why she's down there. Must be related to someone at least. Sarah Long, well, the sister to Stevie Howard, so for moral support and emotional support maybe. And Carson, I don't really know. And as for Zach Wright, part of the LE, talking to the kids, trying to figure out what was going on, and maybe even talking to the adults as well. Now, why is this a problem? Because when we move on to the next slide, granted, it is a bit blurry, but we have seen this before. I read it out in a previous video. The previous video this showed up in was when we were looking at what Sarah Long had to say, the sister of Stevie Howard. And as for context, Sarah Long, the sister to Stevie, went down to the party house to wake up Caden Pressey, as she claimed, and some of the other party goers around 8 in the morning. Reason being because of hearing the news of Noah Presgrove and Sarah, the sister, heading on down because Stevie wasn't able to make it. Let's just read on screen. And now, for context, to make it clearer, the person that posted this comment was Stevie Howard herself. I can tell by the profile picture. I know it's blurry, but I know that's Stevie Howard's profile picture. So Stevie said, after 8 a.m, my dad, I believe Bub Wilcoxon, called Sarah Long after 7 after our hired hand was beating on the door and woke Bub up. He was getting dressed to go down there, called Sarah Long, woke her up. She came to Terrell because I, Stevie Howard, was out of town. So was my other sister with her hubby and family, who's also supposed to be one of the first in scene, lol. She was the closest at the time. She got to Terrell after 8 a.m. or so. So hopefully I've explained it clear enough for you right there. Stevie Howard talking on behalf of one of her sisters, supposedly, known as Sarah Long, who got down there to wake people up. And as we've seen in recent time, Caden Pressey went against that and called out Sarah Long for making mistakes. But Caden was already awake at the house. Okay, so we've got that. Now, let's just compare the main contradiction of today. The person here called Becky. Now, is Becky one of the sisters of Stevie Howard or related to somebody completely different? If you can explain down below, that would be appreciated. But the key thing here, we'll just scroll down a bit. Yes. Becky says, myself, and for example, Stevie Howard were down at the party house. Yes, it mentions Sarah Long's name as well, so that's consistent there at least. This is what we've got to look for, the consistencies and the contradictions. The consistencies here at least is that Becky is backing up Sarah Long in what Sarah Long says. How many people are here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you take one person out, 3 people. It was said by Sarah Long that when she was down there and she got to the house, there was 4 other people present to back me up. So that must be Stevie Howard, Becky, Carson, and as for the 4th person, the 4th adult, Zach Wright, part of the LE. That would be consistent there at least from the perspective of what Becky here is stating, claiming she was down at the party house on the day in the morning time, along with Sarah Long. And it just so happens Sarah Long individually claiming that she was down at the party house on that day in the morning, just like what Becky says here. So there's consistency there, right? And, you could say, well, it's still a lie. It's a consistent lie. There is some form of stability and it's been lacking within the case. Now, let's look at the example of instability, a big contradiction. Whilst Becky backs up Sarah Long, Becky says, myself and Stevie Howard were at the house on the Monday. Stevie Howard was at the party house on the Monday. And then when we click here, Stevie Howard was going on about her dad, and then that leading to her sister being woken up, right? And yet Stevie Howard said she came to Terrell. So Sarah Long, my sister, came to Terrell because I was out of town. She was closer by. We needed someone of the adult, older age to go down there for moral support, for emotional support, to look out for the sister or the cousin, whatever relationship ties you would call it, you know what. So the mother to Carter Combs and Avery Combs, known as Stevie Howard, was out of town, wasn't able to make it down to the party house. But her sister, known as Sarah Long, was closer by, hence why she went on down to the party house instead, right? So in summary, on the day of Monday, September 4th, 2023, post-news upon hearing of the death of Noah Presgrove on the highway, when you had some of the kids at the party house and you had a member of the LE down there as well, questioning, known as Zach Wright, and a couple of adults as well. Stevie Howard wasn't there because she was out of town. But Becky is claiming that Stevie Howard was at the house. Major contradiction. Why would one need to lie? What's the point and purpose of that? The easiest way to back everything up and to get an idea would to be simply reach out and ask Zach Wright. Hey Zach, who was present at the house on such and such a day? What adult was present? What was their name? Etc. That's the only other way of being able to confirm it, providing Zach is neutral and there's no biasness going on. Right? Now, yes, this is a contradiction. One of many, maybe in the eyes of you, but it's one of the first key contradictions that I've come across on the spot, firsthand, and there's even a side-by-side comparison of what we saw there, where Becky is saying one thing, Stevie is saying the other. And yet, if they know one another to an extent, why can't they keep the same story? Why is one lying, or why is one slipping up, making a mistake? What's the point behind that and the purpose? Now, what's the reaction from people in the chat, the comment section? Click here. Now, if you wonder what the noise is, I'm taking off my jacket because it's very hot, okay? Geordie says, they keep telling on each other, or more so, they keep slipping up, at least. Cheap says, yep, this in itself leads me to believe there's no way in hell they have an attorney representing them. If they do, said attorney needs to be fired, like you literally have the right to not incriminate yourself. It's your Fifth Amendment right, so why are you voluntarily making contradicting posts like this? Lemon says the attorney can always fire the client as well. Definitely would have fired the client by now. So who's turning on one another? Is it interpreted as Becky calling out Stevie Howard and claiming that she is down there, and yet previously, prior to that, Stevie was saying, nope, I was nowhere near the place, but my sister was? It's like, if it really was true that Stevie was down at the house along with some of the other adults, but Stevie directly claiming she wasn't there, it's like she's trying to shift the focus and blame, or just the focus at least, to somebody else that she knows related to her own sister. Is she stabbing her own sister in the back? Or putting all the pressure and responsibility and focus onto her only, whilst she fades away in the darkness? I don't know, because you can't really say Stevie is fading into the darkness or keeping a low profile, because she has been quite vocal online. Moving on. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. We sounds French. When first we practiced to deceive. Oh, is that a poem? Oh no, not the poems again. Badger, Maria. Oh no, remember the poems last time from that piss pot from the UK. By the way, I am better at creating poems. Once in the past, I created a 1,600 word poem for certain reasons. Anyway, Cheap says exactly agrees. Lemon, I thought LE never went to the house. I love when they cannot stop talking. Edit to add, where is JM then? At the scene? JM. Is that Jasmine Milan or somebody else? Cheap. This leads me back to you on JM. So if Stevie Howard lied about being on vacation on holiday, did she also lie about JM on vacation? Who is JM? I've heard of Jasmine Milan, but it's kind of like in recent time, there was a person called TH. One was called Tyler, the other one was called Tim. So, two different people with the same initials. It's confusing. What's mentioned here? Falsus in uno, falsus in omnibus. Is that some kind of Italian? Maybe. Oh, and shout out to Lizzie. I was going to say your last name in an Italian accent, but I completely forgot your last name. It'll probably sound a bit dodgy if I try and say it. But just randomly, shout out to Lizzie in recent times for support on this channel. Appreciated. Now, back to this. As a general rule, the law presumes that if certain facts out of the same story are false, the entire story is false. What are you meant to believe? Well, JM could also be the girl's father who posted the video about Noah missing. Oh, are we talking about the Snapchat? Cheap says, wait, I thought he was EM's father. Who is EM? E.L. is Alicia Lee, the mother of Caden Pressey. But who is E.M., the mother of Milan? Oh, I don't know. Lemon responds saying E.M. father was apparently out of town, so the other J.M. could possibly be the Snap girl's father. Right, okay. It's a bit dodgy text there. Trying to understand it. Scroll down because obviously it kicks me off. Okay. Do we see that? Double check, yeah. Wow, testing. Butter. I think they did to question the kids, but they did not have a search warrant, so they couldn't actually do a search of the house unless they had consent. I also think at that time and point, they weren't sure if it was a hit and run, so they would have no probable cause to get a search warrant from a judge to the house. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. If on the basis at some point, whether it be at the very start or so far into the case that they were trying and making an attempt to search the house, if the homeowner, the family, kind of rejected it or pushed it back at first, said, no, there's nothing to see here, that could be interpreted as a suspicious way. Soft says, damn, the least they could do was get their story straight before posting it online for the world to see. True. Didn't your parents ever tell you once you put something online, it never goes away? For most part of it, that can be true. I mean, there are times where you could post something online, and if you are an insignificant person and no one cares or knows about you, you can delete things and just fade away like that, as an example. What's here? Sugar. I'm going to read it out to you. I don't know if I click on it, if it will kick me. Oh, it kind of did. Yeah. I'll just read it out from here because it's too dodgy, the screen. So just listen in. I don't know who this is by. RM. Who's RM? Is R for Renee? Maybe? So RM says, I have no clue where people get their information from. No, I didn't clean up anything at the house, which I arrived at almost 7 in the morning. Oh, that's earlier. Actually, when something things were being picked up, I told them it's pointless. The cops will know this was a party. Oh, the trash. After talking to a few of them, I told them that they would be the first ones investigated because they were the last ones to see him alive. Secondly, talk of me removing guns is being made into something it's not. The kids that were leaving said they had few guns in their vehicles. Don't know what kind because I'm not a gun person, but all I know is big ones, so I put them in my vehicle to take where they belonged. Guns were never thought to be, used or something. But nevertheless, guns used or not, what is the actual purpose of groups of people taking firearms down to a party house when there's underage people there, right? Underage people, underage drinking, getting drunk with firearms sounds like a recipe for disaster. And whilst no one got shot from the looks of it, things can escalate and go bad, and it has in other cases, right? Anyway. Summarised here, and then we have RM stating herself that she arrived around 7 in the morning, which further contradicts Stevie Howard's statement that her and her other sister were out of town and Sarah Long was the closest and first on scene, I believe, as it's stated. Nice follow-up. So she is admitting to tampering with evidence? Seems like it. If anyone knows the initials RM, the full name of that person, RM, leave it down below in the comment section. So it makes me think the first name's called Renee, because I've heard that name before. Now, RM is the Snapchat girl's mum. Ah, so is this Renee Milan, the mother to Jasmine Milan? That would make sense. So, if Sarah Long, Stevie Howard's sister, said she didn't arrive at the house until after 8 a.m. and woke Caden Pressey up, That means Renee Millan didn't wake anyone up yet. Help them hide their guns. At most, the house is a double-wide trailer. Nothing wrong with that, but everyone who was there had to have been awake before Sarah Long arrived. Yet Sarah Long is claiming when she got down there at 8, people were asleep. Yeah. And, you know, if Renee Millan, the mother to Jasmine Millan, was down there much earlier, an hour before, with moving about, she probably would have awakened some people at the party regardless. They're starting to eat their own, aren't they? When you say eat their own, you mean excrement or something? Good, let them. Just Chemist. That's the individual that watches my videos. Shout out to them. They say, well, now they have their own group, which to me is sickening. Their own group. Oh. Wait, are you saying that the screenshots, what we read up above, was actually from the fake Noah Presgrove's army page? If so, that's very interesting. And it gives insight to what's going on with him. Because it just so happens that fake page is private as well, so it would tie in line with what Becky was saying. Anyway, cheap. It is pretty disgusting how they have mocked Noah and his family from the beginning. Got to question motives. They have their own group? Disgusting. What's the name of their group? Well, I believe the name of their group is called Noah Presgrove's Army. I'm correct in saying. What's this one? Who would those 4 other people be? Only adults that showed up was Renee and her husband by Big. I'm Stevie's sister. Oh yeah, we saw that earlier. I have my phone records and location data, plus I have 4 witnesses that watched me walk in the house and wake up your son, Caden Pressey, and a couple of others. Well, as I said, if Sarah is claiming that there was 4 other witnesses present, such as adults, that could consist of Becky, Carlson, whoever that is, supposedly Stevie Howard, and then the 4th person, adult-wise, would have to be Zach Wright, part of the LE. That ties into 4 people. I'm not saying that's the truth, but making sense of what Sarah Long says here is somewhat consistent to what Becky has said. But in terms of Stevie Howard, highlighted by Becky, Stevie hasn't been consistent in return, has she? Now, final bit. Yet, she says she woke Caden Pressey up, yet Stevie says she got there after 8. Lord yowl, these people are not all there. What, not all there physically or mentally? Right, so we've got that. Let me know all your thoughts down below. What do you think about this? Do you think it's a bit of a messy situation? Let's get rid of this. I'm sick of these banners popping up. Dodgy banners. What else do we need to look at? So, the last thing... No, to be honest, I think we can say that for another time. Partners in Crime podcast. New podcast. The FBI has taken over. Do you know what? We'll have a look at this last thing. It seems to be a link, but from what's been said in the background as a heads up, because I know there's some people on my channel that have been questioning in recent time, that some podcast has confirmed the FBI has taken over the case recently, which is obviously good news to hear, right? Maybe more action might come about, might be a change in how things have been treated and dealt with. It could be sped up like a catalyst. With the Dylan Rounds case, the FBI got involved there as well early on when it felt like there wasn't much movement. How instrumental were they? I can't remember, because they were saying how the FBI can only do so much because the LE assigned to that case, Box Elder of Dylan Rounds, had more control also because of the type of case. But nevertheless, if FBI has come in now, clearly a positive sign, but it was well needed. Now, let's just see the reactions from people. This is just a quick summary here, okay? You would have saw a post just before we clicked on this to do with Caleb Newton, Jack Newton. That can be a separate video. It kind of ties in with the fishing trip. Unfinished business there, so be on the lookout for that video in the future. But yeah, Lemon. Do you have a timestamp for it? To add, it's around 4 minutes 7 seconds to 7 minutes 34 seconds when talking about it. It seems like OSBI, what's that? Oklahoma State Bureau Investigation, is that what it means? And the FBI are both still working the case, but the FBI will be taking the lead. Wow. That is good to hear. Also confirms the house has never been searched by LE. If it's never been searched by LE, does it rule out the point made by Becky of Zach Wright being present there questioning the kids? I wonder. But then you can argue and say, police can still come on down to the house to question someone, but they may not have a warrant to search it, which ties in with what's mentioned here. Okay, thanks for posting. Yep. Living says, this is very good news for Noah Presgrove and very bad news for the people trying to cover up what's happened. I wonder how they sleep at night knowing their days are numbered. Once the FBI takes over your small town, power is over. Was it a long time due? Even before the death of Noah Presgrove, if there was suspicious stuff in the past within the town rural area? Lemon, I believe this has to be the sand washing quarry that they are discussing. You need sand for oil and gas industry. I give you one guess on its location. Well, if we're talking about the quarry, it's, what do you say, northwest of the party house, under a mile away. I actually did a map analysis of the quarry. I even pointed it out with a marker. So there you go. In relation to that, the property is owned by ATSL Land LLC out of Gainesville, Texas. I would have to dig deeper, but surface level shows key people as Manuel Infante, Charles Lockwood Ray Smith, whoever that is. You're right. ATSL Land is out of Gainesville, Texas. The agent of record is an accountant whose firm specializes in quality cross-border tax services for inbound and outbound companies, individual cross-border tax services and domestic tax consulting and bookkeeping services. The owners are interesting. This is the same property for the sale from the satellite view of the property from the website. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. It's actually in the place of what we were looking at and what I marked. I believe it's that quarry there. Can you see that outline? Hopefully you can. Just zoom on out. There we go. Didn't want to. Interesting. We have all assumed the motive for moving his body was that he died on private land belonging to the family. If so, this narrows down the actual place where he died considerably. Look at the area owned by this sand mine on the maps. So if the incident occurred on Indian land, it would make sense why whomever wanted the body off the land had it moved. There are different jurisdictions for Indian reserve land than for none. And if we're talking about Indian reserved land, we're saying one fourth in terms of, I don't know what the fuck you call it, where, you know, your background, your ancestry, whatever, what you're related to or where you come from. Supposedly there's talk of Stevie Howard being a little bit related to Native Americans, so that's to do with the land as well, who knows. Anyway, just a little link there. Puzzle, thank you for letting us know. This sounds very promising. If confirmed, FBI is taking the lead, could also point in the direction of FBI being only agency to pursue charges if applicable if the land property belongs to NA. Very true regarding the McGirt ruling, the fact that Stevie Howard and HM are Indian and the owners of either properties in question. Right. So basically we're saying all the land nearby owned by these type of people related to Indians and the Indian Reserve and the laws and restrictions behind it and land as well. And if anything bad happened on it, maybe gets a bit messy. So, you know, anything bad that does happen on our land, we don't want anything to do with it. We want that moving, cleaning up ASAP. So if we're responsible or if you're responsible, you're going to move it. That's what it comes across as. Now, Gibb says, no, the FBI is not in charge. That was misspoken. They are assisting. Uh-oh. OHP still the lead on this case. So Oklahoma Highway Patrol are still leading the case with the FBI and the OSBI assisting is how I understood it. Have they taken investigators off that have family connection? And this is said by the admin. Right, so the podcast, is supposedly saying that the FBI has taken charge, but the comment on here from whichever page on Facebook, either the Army one or the official Justice for Noah one, is saying that they've not taken charge. Well, that's very bad in terms of misspeaking, because it's quite clear. Per Aunt of Noah, day after podcast. Oh, so the Aunt of Noah Presgrove here, admin to the official Noah Presgrove's page, which is called Justice for Noah Presgrove, is stating here that the FBI are not in complete control and they haven't taken over. They are simply assisting. So that podcast has got it wrong. How can you get it wrong between taking the lead and assisting? Two separate things. See, that's how situations can get messy. Now, there is a deleted comment there, removed by moderator. Ooh, naughty, naughty. I just don't know what to think anymore. Definitely discouraging. Maybe it was a mistake. That's why it was deleted. Who knows? But yeah, just wanted to add that in. So they've not taken over, but they are assisting now. That's how it seems to come off. As I said previously, when it does come to contradictions and learning more about a case and getting a bit more confident with it in certainty and accuracy, I do detect contradictions left, right and centre. Once I see one, I start to see them all with time, and maybe some people I've never seen before. We'll see what happens next, of course. You know, there is a lot of activity going on in this case, and whilst it might be 8 to 9 months old and ongoing, the case, things are still being talked about, which, although it's not led to justice yet, and it's not led to true answers, it's at least a good thing that there is still a lot of energy and activity behind it. And whilst you can say, well, no shit, of course it would be like that, it's not always, let's be realistic. So you got the intensity behind it, and you got the focused people online. When you get the admins, such as on the Noah Presgrove's Army Facebook page, like the guy called Roy, and you look at his stamina, his focus, his consistency, unmatched, relentless, and that's meant in a positive way. When it comes to the YouTube side and aspects, well, I can't say anything at this moment in time because I don't know how long the case will go on for. I am just under a year late to the case. But if you've seen it for the first time, you know, you can make the mistake of thinking it's just happened recently because of the amount of news coming out. And even if some of the news isn't 100% true, but it highlights suspicion within somebody, that is still interesting news. And it might point in a certain direction to then look at a new lead. So we see how things go. You never know what's around the corner, but hopefully you found this video interesting. As I said, be sure to catch up on my earlier video that I uploaded today to do with the deleted post by Jasmine Millan from the party at the time, in which she displayed a little bit strange behaviour, and also looking at a secondary photo which has not been shown much at all, with her trying to explain herself and justify the situation. Be sure to check that video out. And once again, shout out to any people that have supported this channel in recent time, whether it be gifted memberships, super chats or super stickers. Whilst they may come on in, that's very good. And I'm aiming to try and put that towards an upgrade for the channel, the setup in the future by September, to give back and to try and improve the quality as well, and possibly do alternative videos as well with the upgrades along the way. So feel free to like, share the video so more people can see and hear about this, to help keep the case alive, to spread awareness. And if you want to keep up to date with my playlist, with my coverage, almost on a day-to-day basis, well, I at least try to when I can, feel free to subscribe to the channel and make sure the notifications are turned on so you're made aware of when the next video does come, or maybe a community post on my page. Could be a vote, could be a poll, we'll see. Thanks for watching. For now, I'll see you later. Goodbye, good night.